The Sandbox. Part 1. The Captain. In the courtyard between old gray Panelka apartment buildings stood an ordinary children's sandbox. The paint on its wooden sides had long since peeled off, exposing the gray wood, dried out by the sun and rain. For 9-year-old Danilko, it was just a place where he and his friends built forts. Until the day he broke the captain. The captain was his favorite tin soldier, an heirloom from his grandfather. And so, during a grand battle, the captain fell from the windowsill and his leg broke off. The grief was immense. It was then that Slavko, a boy 3 years older who always knew everything about everything, grimly nodded towards the sandbox. "There is a way," he said. "They say if you bury something broken in it overnight, by morning it will be whole again." It sounded like nonsense, but despair made Danilko try. In the evening, when the courtyard was empty, he came to the sandbox. The moonlight made the sand look like ash. He dug a small hole, placed the captain and his broken leg inside, and carefully covered it all up. The next morning he ran to the sandbox, dug into the sand, and froze. The captain was whole. The leg was back in place, but something was wrong. The plastic leg he remembered was a different shade, but this one was pale, slightly warm, and felt strangely organic to the touch, as if made of wax or bone, and the captain's painted eyes seemed to be looking slightly askew directly at Danilko. Part 2. The Sparrow and the Doll. A week later, Danilko found a sparrow with a broken wing near the building's entrance. And then the thought came to him, cold, unbidden, but insistent. That night he was at the sandbox again. The sand felt cold and heavy, like graveyard dirt. In the morning, the sparrow was sitting on the edge of the sandbox. Its wing was whole. The bird took flight, but its flight was jerky, wrong. It didn't chirp, but made a quiet, dry, clicking sound. The sparrow made a circle over the courtyard and then flew with all its might into the concrete wall of the building, leaving a small, bloody mark on it. Danilko felt sick. He understood. The sandbox didn't repair things. It replaced them. He began to avoid it. But he could see from his window, as other children played there. He saw little Olenka burying her doll with a missing arm. 2 days later, he saw Olenka pull the doll out. Its right arm, previously broken off, was back on. It was a matte pale and had perfect, tiny fingernails. Olenka had changed. She no longer laughed, but just sat on the swing and whispered something to her repaired toy. One sunny day, Slavko approached Olenka. "What, still playing with your monster?" He snickered and tried to snatch the doll. "Don't touch it." "She doesn't like it," the girl said quietly. Slavko just laughed and pulled harder. And then it happened. Olenka, not letting go of the doll with her left hand, picked up a shard of green glass from the ground with her right. Her movement was precise, fast, and terrifying. She struck Slavko in the side with the shard. He exhaled in surprise and sank to the ground, clutching the wound from which a dark stain began to spread. Olenka's face expressed nothing. The pale, perfect hand of her doll was stained with red. Part 3. The Clock. After that incident, the courtyard seemed to die. Police tape was stretched around the sandbox. Danilko became frightened and silent. His grandfather, a man of the old school, only saw that his grandson was afraid of something. One evening, Danilko couldn't take it any more and told him everything. His grandfather listened and said softly, "It's all because of that incident. You've imagined it all. Come, I'll show you something." He took out his old broken watch. "I will bury it. And tomorrow morning we will dig it up and you will see that nothing has happened. Danilko watched as the person dearest to him tore the police tape and lowered his memory into the cold depths of the sandbox. The next morning, his grandfather dug up the watch. It was running. "See!" the grandfather laughed. But Danilko saw something else. The second hand was moving in the wrong direction. "Grandpa, look! The hand!" "Indeed? Strange. Let's go have breakfast, Petrick." "I'm not Petrick. I'm Danilko." "Oh, come on, son." His grandfather waved his hand. "Where's your mother? Is she up yet?" Throughout the day, his grandfather was being erased. He forgot names, years, people. By evening, he no longer recognized the apartment. He sat in his armchair, looking at the hands of the watch that were running backward, and smiled quietly. He was empty. In the evening, Danilko approached him. The old man raised his completely alien eyes to him. "Boy," he said in a young voice, "could you tell me how to get to the train station from here?" Part 4. The payment. The burden of this knowledge was unbearable. Danilko was broken, and one day a simple, terrible, and only correct thought was born in his head. The Sandbox fixes what is broken. Maybe it could fix him too. Erase the pain, erase the memories. That night, he took the cold captain and went out into the courtyard. He put the soldier in a hole, returned to the sand what belonged to it, and then he lay down in the sandbox himself, covering himself with the cold, damp sand until a heavy peace covered him completely. The morning was sunny. Danilko's mother was relieved to see her son playing cheerfully in the courtyard. He was laughing. His eyes were bright, clear, and completely empty. "Danilko, come have breakfast," she called. He ran into the kitchen. His grandfather, empty and silent, came out of his room. "Say hello to your grandfather," his mother said quietly. Danilko looked at her, then at the old man, and asked with sincere, carefree bewilderment, "To whom?" Finale. The new sand. A year passed. Danilko was an ordinary boy. There was no shadow in his eyes. His grandfather was quietly fading away. One spring day, a city improvement truck arrived in the courtyard. The workers tore out the old boards of the sandbox and installed a new bright plastic border. On top of the old gray sand, they poured a thick layer of new, clean, golden sand. That same evening, a taxi pulled up to the next building. A new family, with a little girl named Sofika, got out. In her hand was a teddy bear that was missing one eye. The next day, Sofika was crying in the new sandbox. Danilko approached her. "What's wrong?" "He's broken," the girl sobbed. Danilko looked at the teddy bear, and for a moment his cheerful eyes became empty. The words came out on their own like an echo. "Don't cry. He can be fixed. You just have to bury him here." The next day, the girl was happily holding a teddy bear with two perfect shiny eyes. Danilko stood nearby, feeling a strange, cold satisfaction. He didn't know that his recovery was just an advance. That same day, Danilko was playing soccer. He ran to kick the ball and suddenly fell, crying out from an icy pain. His pant leg was rolled up. His leg below the knee was changing. The skin was losing its color, becoming pale and smooth like a polished bone. The toes were merging, and the nails were becoming like plastic. It was turning into a doll's leg. The memories returned, and he screamed. It was the inhuman shriek of a soul that realized it was trapped. The transformation continued. He reached out to his parents with a completely human hand, and his eyes, still alive, were filled with a horror that is impossible to imagine. He was finally fixed.